Now what you're looking at is a Persian bantam having its morning meal, and there's another goat which we call the Sirohi breed. It's a unique spotted deer pattern goat which we find in some of the northern states of India. What we're looking at is a small house I've built for my goats that is in the form of a shed. I can show the roof here. Here's the door, and this is the outside. So as you can see, I've used mere wooden columns, sheet metal and wooden beams to support this shed. And a parapet wall certainly helps you give the extra support. Further, you can observe that I have placed my goats inside a small cage like material in which I have small wooden racks placed. Now in between those wooden racks I have small gaps from which all the fecal matter, that is the waste of these animals, will fall down, as you can see there. Now I've kept it a little around some 2 feet above the ground. So the cage is around 2 feet above the ground, which makes me advantageous to use a broom or any other customized instrument so that I can easily remove that waste from that location. Keeping goats in a city is definitely a challenge, but where people are crazy to keep them as pets, it becomes a little more easier. In India, goat keeping is not usually found in cities. It's mostly towards the countryside, that's the villages, towns. But here in cities like Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Delhi, etc., these major cities too have flaunted people who love keeping goats as pets. So the primary reason to keep goats in an urban area, that is city, will be basically to keep them as pets. For self-sustenance, usually people select a very good breed goat, make kids out of it, and those kids are sold to other people who are interested in keeping the goats. That's how the maintenance can be sustained. Otherwise, milk is not the primary reason for keeping these goats here in city. Apart from all these things, one has to consider the objections the neighbors and the society makes for goat keeping in a city. Because in India, population is always seen beyond limits. So you'll find always neighbors surrounding your place, and if there are complaints or objections for goat keeping, I'd suggest you do not keep goats. To add to it, I'd say maintain a clean environment so that there's no objection from your neighbors. For instance, what I have given is my own and my brother's idea, where we use the cleaning environment. We give a space so that whatever fecal matter or waste of those animals, it drops down and that dries up because there's a lot of air space there. Once it dries up, we pull it out and collect it in waste crates like this. And once we collect this in waste crates, we have a nearby garbage area where we can go and dump it down, from where the municipal or the city garbage department will pick it up. So make sure you have a good doctor in your surrounding, because without a good doctor, an animal, if you find an animal in a disease or some distress condition, you definitely can't handle the situation being a person lived in cities from so long. So it becomes a big challenge for a person to handle animal diseases and animal problems here. So it's better you find a close by doctor, a reliable one, or at least a clinic or hospital which can handle goats, because most of the time we find that in cities like Bangalore or other cities in India, we find that most of the doctors, animal doctors, the vets, will be specialized in cats and dogs rather than goats or any other grazing animals. So for that purpose, make sure you have a doctor around you or clinic around you who knows goats well. For me, it has been a great advantage because I have in a 1 kilometer radius around 2 clinics, which are government clinics in fact. So anytime I have any problem with my goats, I'll just put them on a vehicle, take them to the place, or a tip to the doctor will definitely get him here. He can also handle the situation after he's finished his duty. So it becomes very big advantage. So make sure you have a good doctor, you have a good purpose of keeping the goat, a very clean and good place, no smelly environment, and for most of all, your neighbors shouldn't complain of this. And finally, coming to the food part. Now, what these animals are eating right now is what I call the lake grass. Now, this is a very rare variety of grass found only in certain lakes. Here, where at my place in Bangalore, we have around 2-3 lakes in which this grass grows, and there are people who just go out, cut it, and sell it as a bale. Each bale would cost around some 15 to 20 rupees. So it's not much of a cost for me because I buy 2 bales per day for 2 animals, and that will suffice them. Apart from this, my neighbors have been very cooperative. Whatever vegetable peels and wastes which comes out in their houses, they send out to my house. And what I do is I dry them up. Let me show an example of what I'm doing outside here. So what I do is I dry them up. Look at this. Tomatoes and then peas, peels, all these. I dry them up, and once they're dry and clean, I store them and stack them in bags. I store them and stock them in bags for future use. For instance, if I wasn't able to get enough quantity of grass, see, I will show you that grass which I was talking to you about. If I'm not able to get enough quantity of the grass for a particular day, I'll always have backup resources. So make sure you have enough food that when there's no stock of regular supply, you have an alternative supply. Apart from these, for the better growth of animals, I have collected certain grains which are cheap. You can observe. What we usually get in cheap in India is millets like ragi, jowar. So what one can do is pick this up from local stores in bulk quantity, or pick it up from the market in a bulk quantity. Get it roughly, not finely, roughly powdered, wherein you'll find the grains to be broken. So you're not supposed to powder it because it becomes difficult for the animal to swallow. You can make it a little bit roughly powdered. Like, let me give a demonstration of what I have done here. This is a horse gram. I found a 50 kg bag for around 1,000 rupees. So what I did was, it's actually bigger in size. What I did was I took it to a mill, and the mill person cooperated to just break it down small enough so that my animals could eat it and chew it properly. Otherwise, a bigger size gram will become difficult and most of it will get wasted. So it will not get digested properly. So about breeds, make sure whatever breeds you're keeping are into people's interest, so that whenever you have a situation to sell these animals out of some or the other reason, they should be sold out quickly. Keeping local animals called the country breeds, the desi breeds, it's a little bit challenge because the only purpose they're used here in India is for meat. So for that purpose, make sure you keep some better, good quality goats, good breed goats, so that in times of need you can sell them at a good price. Let me show you the Sirohi breed. He actually has a little bit looping long ears. I've also kept some previously. I had a breed called Jamnapari, which had even more long ears, somewhere around some 17 inches or 16 inches big ears. That's too big for a normal animal. So one can have such beautiful breeds, and you should make sure that whatever breeds you keep are into people's interest. Bringing out some foreign breed, like let me give an example. We have the foreign breed called Sanan or Boer. A Boer and Sanan are not much into demand in Bangalore. The ones which are in demand are, look at this Persian Bantam, we have a normal Bantam, then we have this Jamnapari breed, all these. So make sure you select a good breed, you have a good place, you have a clean place, you have enough food and a good doctor. That would suffice you. And make sure you have enough money to do all of this. Thank you. Have a good urban farming, good pet keeping.